Hey guys, welcome. This is Paul Cooley from RuleYourRealm.com. Welcome to part two on our Rule Your Day series, all about time management, productivity, making sure you're able to get more done in less time, and hopefully even cut back your work day to have more free time to do the things you want to do. In part two, we are going to be covering some important stuff. But let me recap part one first. And that is we talked about the value and the importance of time and protecting your time. We talked about how time comes and goes but doesn't come back again. Money can come and go and also come back. So time is something that is so very precious that we have to make sure every minute, the seconds, the days, the months, the weeks, everything, how we spend our time is making the most of it. And we're focused on profitable things versus just wasting time. So with that, we also talked about really mapping out your goals, mapping out what you want out of life. So really creating a life by design rather than well, hey, whatever happens, happens. No, that's not what we're doing. We're saying, no, this is what we want our life to look like, and these are the strategic steps on how to get there. In lesson one, we also had some downloads for you, so hopefully you really took some time and answered those questions and wrote them down. Hopefully now you have a much clearer picture of what you want your business life to look like, your personal life, and what you want, either short-term and long-term goals. So now with that being done and that being said, and we're going to pretend that everybody did their homework and did those things, now we're on to part two, and that is getting a real feel for how you manage your time on a daily basis, because how we spend our days is how we spend our life. So if we're living a life by design, how we spend each and every day is so extremely important. And we ought to make sure that we do not take on the mindset that the majority take on. We want to take on the mindset that those that are successful have taken on, where they understand the value of the time and they understand the importance of what they focus on versus what they don't focus on. So, all right, with that being said, let's get on. What we want to do is, first and foremost, we want to talk about how you manage your time on a daily basis. We want to go about this on a very practical note, okay? So what I recommend that you do, and probably the majority of you use some form of digital calendar. Personally, I recommend getting a big paper one of those desk calendars. For me, it helps for this exercise anyway. I don't personally use a paper calendar for anything else, but I found it's quicker and easier and gives me a visual much easier than going the digital route. But for the sake of the video and the reason why we have this camera here, picture something along the lines of this right here. So we're going to pretend that this is our calendar. We're going to pretend this is our big paper one. First and foremost, what you want to do is you want to categorize the different areas of your life. So for example, and I have this written down, you can take, and I want you to get some colored markers for this, okay? So one, you're going to need a color, let's just say blue, for God, your spiritual life. Are you devoting any time for that? Second, it could be your family, spouse. I hate to say friendships just yet, but more family-related stuff. So pick a color for that. Then you want work related. Okay, so you want a color for your work, and then pick another color for more fun, recreational stuff, not necessarily having to do with family. It could be hanging out with friends. It could be pursuing a hobby. Probably more or less stuff for this particular color, whatever color you choose, more stuff that you're doing probably by yourself or away from family. Okay, so chances are, let's say if you golf, chances are your kids' family don't golf. So that golf would be in that category. Rock climbing be in that category. Fishing, so on. You get the idea. But the cool part is when you start color coding your day. So if you get very honest with yourself and use in conjunction the tools that you got in session one, you could say, all right, my work day on Mondays, this is what my work day, or I shouldn't say work day, my day looks like, okay? And chances are the color that you chose for work might take up a ton of these days right here. okay, and fill up a big spot. It might be, let's just say orange for work. It might be a huge section here for each day would be orange, okay? Well, this is all an exercise to help you get an idea of where the majority of your time is going and how little of your time might be going to some of the things that are most precious to you. For example, family. So mark down, and this is why I say get a paper one, use a digital one if that's easier for you, whatever. But really go through here. Okay, on Mondays, my day looks like this. I start the mornings with this. Is it immediately work, or is it maybe some time for devotions and prayer and things like that? So, okay, God's in there, okay? Let's say blue, or blue is for something else. Red is family, green is family, whatever. Maybe it's just a small little line in the evenings. So this, you got to be honest with yourself. Don't try to deceive yourself here. Be honest with yourself, because this is huge, because it gives you a visual of really truly how you're spending your time in your day. Once you're done doing that, now it's time to step it up a notch and say, okay, I'm seeing maybe an extreme imbalance. And when you are done, maybe the calendar will look something more along the lines of this. Now, these are just graphics I grabbed really quick off of Google. So, I mean, hopefully it's going to be even more color than this right here. But it kind of gives you an idea. So you're like, wow, I'm spending a lot of time on this versus this. Now, for the sake of this drill, we're going to pretend, and chances are it's going to be very accurate for the majority of you, that the majority of the colors that's taking up your calendar is going to be probably more work-related. Now, what we want to try to do is still maintain the productivity, still remain and produce results, but hopefully we can do it in a little less time. What if you're working 80 hours a week? What if we could cut that back to 40 hours a week? How much more free time would you have to be able to invest in your family, your loved ones, your own skill sets even? Or sleep, because that's kind of an important thing too, all right? So once you get that visual and you realize, whoa, okay, we got to change some stuff. That is key to understanding that, because again, that we have an end result in mind we need to get to. So now, what do we do? Well, let me show you something of what I did personally, because I shared, I believe in session one, how I used to spend my days is I would just, depending on, depending on the day, I would start my day with just whatever. For example, at that particular time period of my life, I was a part of this one, I was a part of a mastermind group, and I was a part of this one weekly webinar thing. And it was a really cool experience. So, but what I would do is my days were not strategically designed at all. They were, okay, I'm going to wake up, okay, at 9 a.m. this webinar starts. Then depending on the topic of the webinar, that would probably determine the rest of my day, because I would probably be all up about the latest strategy or thing, whatever the topic was on that webinar. And so that wasn't the best use of my time. I was also getting used to WordPress, doing more website related stuff. Again, with the goals that I had back then, learning WordPress really did not profit me a lot, okay? Yes, money was tight, so I kind of had to learn it myself. I didn't have the funds to necessarily hire somebody else. And I did learn, and now I can manage a team like I do now, and know what I'm talking about when it comes to WordPress. But for my goals, learning WordPress was not a profitable thing for then. Okay, so there are a lot of mistakes I made. There's also a mastermind group that became an extreme waste of time. It was the most unproductive mastermind group I've ever been a part of, which is probably why I don't, well, not really, I haven't been a part of too many masterminds since, because I'm like, but it's one of those things where my days were not structured at all. It was just, well, whatever happens, happens. And that is not a good mentality. It's not a good way to go about, especially if you're trying to make money. Okay? You have to be on target, on task, on purpose, focused on what it is that you need to do, the profit-making tasks, in order to bring in money, okay? So what I did and what I've been doing, and I'm going to say this is more of a loosely structured thing because my days are so different. Let me pull up Evernote here. Now, we're going to be talking about Evernote and a few other really cool tools in the next session, but I want to give you kind of an idea of what I did and what my days usually will look like. Okay, so For example, I've just kind of listed out, you see Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, work hours, and so on. So this is, like I said, this is loose because there's so many things that can come up and I have to deal with it when it comes up. But for Mondays, okay, so on Mondays, my main focus, and I have side notes here that mean stuff to me, is I should be establishing the rest of the week. Monday is extremely important. And some people are like, oh, it's Monday. No, Monday is an exciting thing. It's a good thing. So you got to wake up going, yes, we're going to get some stuff done. And I'm planning the whole week. I'm planning things, and as you'll see on the focus part, I'm planning the week, planning clients that I need to contact, maybe prospects I need to follow up with, projects, deadlines. I'm getting all structured so I can go into the whole week really having a clear grasp of what it is that I need to be focusing on and where my attention needs to be. Social media planning for the following week ahead. That also includes all the clients that we manage. Blog posts for the week ahead. Going over the calendar, seeing if there's any upcoming speaking engagements, client meetings, whatever. That is the thing that I need to focus on, and as well as email newsletters. So I need to be up. Writing a newsletter the day of and sending it is usually not the best way. You want to have a theme, you want to have a schedule, you want to have things in place where you know what you're going to be talking about in the following weeks and sometimes even months ahead. Okay, hand out tasks because I do have a team on my social brand agency, so that's almost a daily routine. Tuesdays and Thursdays look like this. So I've got a client that I have a contract with that I am in-house with them. For 4 hours on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's something, that's why I don't just label them as just client, because they're a little bit different scenario. Then also client web projects, so different websites that we're currently working on. My attention goes towards those, making sure things are done right, making sure we're on time for deadlines, making sure that it's doing all the things it needs to do, that it's looking the right way, all the messaging's right, all of that kind of stuff. On Thursdays, because it's not the most creative day for me, unlike probably, well, I'll get into in a second here, it's more task oriented. So this allows me to stay focused and be more task oriented on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which I found that works really well because I have a hard time going from task oriented, service related stuff, then going over to creative stuff and going back. It's hard for me to flow back and forth. I've gotten a lot better, but still, it's a disfavor and disservice to me and the people that I serve when I have to bounce back and forth like that. So you might be the same way. That's why I've kind of structured it this way. The mindset that I have as far as for Tuesdays and Thursdays is a more big picture focus. Again, like I said, focus more on tasks, focus on the creative look, feel messaging on the clients that have really paid me to do stuff. But that's all client based. It's not my stuff. It's not rule your realm stuff. It's not iBoost stuff. It's all client related stuff. It's just usually projects. And that's why I say task oriented with them. It doesn't mean creativity is not there, but it just means it's focused on them. Okay. Wednesdays is product creation, online meetings, radio shows that I'm a part of, copywriting. With me, again, copywriting, product creation, all those kinds of things. That takes a different kind of creativity versus client projects, at least for me, and how I categorize it in my brain is a little bit different. So that's kind of how I do it as far as, okay, these are going to be heavy writing days. These are days where I probably won't be in the office so much. I might go out to the lake and take my MacBook with me and write there. And I found it to really be nice because it's almost unplugging completely. Making sure I have no internet access. I mean, I do that on purpose to make sure I'm not getting distracted with anything and I can focus on those things. And again, like I said, this is all loose just because you never know when there might be an emergency that pops up and I need to hand it off to someone else or I need to see to it myself. So it's still kind of somewhat loose. I'm not saying if a client calls me on a Wednesday, it's not like I'm going to ignore them. Okay, so and again, it depends on your business model. The mindset for Wednesdays is laser focused on my perfect client. Now, let me define this. I'm not saying I'm focused on client projects. I'm laser focused on my perfect client. meaning when I'm doing the product creation, when I'm doing the copywriting, when I'm doing not so much, well, even radio shows, that's true too, online meetings, so on. I am focused with my perfect client in mind. When I'm writing something, I'm not writing for the masses. I'm writing with my perfect client in mind. See what I'm saying? So there is that difference there. Focused on the value offering or offering value to my right person or right client. So that's the whole focus there. Then we go back into Thursday again, where it's more task-oriented, client project-oriented, and so on. Fridays is definitely more of a, for the most part, it's usually a very more relaxed day. I have a lot more freedom. I don't hand out tasks on Friday, obviously, because the weekend's there. I'm wrapping up any loose ends, prepping for the following week, and so on. So it's usually a very relaxed day. I'll usually also take that time to do more of the stuff that I would probably do on a Wednesday as well, content creation. I'm doing this recording right now on a Friday. So it's one of those things where it's a more relaxed day, much more stress-free day, and I like it. So that's kind of a good thing. I've tried to set hours, because if you're anything like me in the past, I would work nonstop. Early, start first thing in the morning, sometimes forget to eat lunch and work into the wee hours of the night. And I can't do it anymore. I think I've worn myself out to enough where I can't do it anymore. But I had to set limits a long time ago and say, I'm robbing from my family, I'm robbing my health, all of that. I'm not being productive. All I'm doing is being very, very busy. And when you start looking, when you have that kind of schedule and you do the color coding on a calendar, it's a slap in the face, because you realize how much other stuff you're neglecting. So set hours, set time periods and challenge yourself. Make it a game almost, where you are saying, I'm only going to work 6 hours today instead of 10 or 12 or 14. When you put that limit on there, it forces you to focus on the profit-making tasks and either outsource it to someone else, which we'll be talking about in the bonus video, or we will be talking, or we'll be talking too, but we'll also be focusing on when something happens, when something goes on. I only have 4 more hours in the day. Do I outsource this? Do I handle it now? Does it put on the shelf for the following day? What do I do? Because it forces you to filter it then and say, okay, is this something I need to focus on? Is it not? So when limiting, you are then able to cut your hours back, and then you're able to have more free time to do other stuff. And I found it also helps clarity of mind for me. I remember I was so bogged down and so stressed and had so many things going on my plate. I had a hard time focusing on just one thing, because there's always that nagging thing that I had to do, for other projects and other things. And it's no way to run a business. Let me just say that. And I speak from experience. So this might seem very basic, but this is huge. It really is. This is an important part of really structuring your weekly workflow and daily workflow. Now, again, stay tuned, because in the next video, we're going to be talking about the tools and the apps that are available to you to be able to really structure and help keep you on task and on target on your work days. Okay, so again, your days make up your years, which makes up your life. That's why each day is so very important how you spend it, okay? So stay tuned for the next session, where we're going to be really digging into the amazing tools that's available to you, free and paid, to keep your life structured, to keep your workflow on task and on target, keeping you productive and putting more money in your pocket. So until next time, guys, stay tuned. God bless. This is Paul Cooley with RuleYourRealm.com.